Hello and welcome back to Radio 2. This is the final lesson for radio technology. And what a chapter it's been. There's so much information that's been culminated in this one module. So what we're going to be doing now is we'll be doing a little bit of a recap just of everything that you've learned in these 5 lessons. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about Radio DJ, which is the program that you'll start working on as soon as we can get back into classrooms together. So if we look at chapter 7, everything that we looked at is we started with the broadcast chain. We looked at the basics of the playout system. We looked at the newsroom software and technologies. We looked at audio production systems, social media systems, for example, the podcasts. We looked at studio acoustics and line of sight. We looked at microphones, headphones, and monitor speakers. We looked at how a mixing desk functions and what all these things mean. We looked at what a fader, pre-fade, listen, levels, processing, gains, equalizers, and pan controls are. We looked at outside broadcasts in detail and the option available for open broadcaster software. We looked at transmission distribution technology and studio fault logs. So that was it in a nutshell. So when we look at audio production systems, we mentioned that there's a lot of different types of audio production software tools that can conduct the necessary tasks. The 3 essential aspects that we're looking out for is the stability of the software, the speed and response of the software, and the control interface. Okay, so Pro Tools is the biggest one. The others that are frequently used is Adobe Audition, Logic Pro X, Audacity, Reaper, and FL Studio. All of these provide excellent stability, speed, and control. Once the sound is edited on these programs, the final product is mixed and exported. And then we get the internet and the social media systems. Here, what's happened is the democratization of information. The internet empowers anyone with a laptop or a phone to develop and share content. This has brought benefits and threats. Benefits include radio stations can make their content available outside of live radio. So you can create podcasts of segments of shows. Stations can count their web traffic as a key metric and sell it to advertisers. But at the same time, what has happened is the fragmentation of the market, because individuals outside of professional radio environments have begun to also develop radio programs and other types of audio products, for example, podcasts. We look at distribution technology. In traditional radio broadcasting, there are 2 types of signal distribution methods: amplitude modulation, so AM, versus frequency modulation, FM. AM sound waves can travel extensively across the surface of the Earth and are carried by the Earth and the atmosphere. They are, however, very noisy. FM signal is much clearer and less affected by atmospheric conditions, as the waves travel in a straight line. This means that they travel until there's a curvature of the Earth that prevents them from traveling further beyond the horizon. From here, we then get DAB, so digital audio broadcasting, which is FM wave signals that is transferred into data packets, meaning that we're saving a lot of space on the frequency spectrum that we can use for other things. Then apart from that, we also get satellite radio, which is in essence a signal that gets sent up to the satellite and back down to Earth, where a decoder will decode the information into data pockets, and then we can listen to it. This is a good example of this is DSTV. If we look at activity 7A on page 251, number 1 there says a radio station has its permanent on-air studio in Cape Town, but wants to broadcast from the Mangaung African Culture Festival, a music festival that takes place just outside Bloem. Create a graphic representation of the input and output links that this permanent on-air studio will need in order to achieve this technically. So the input and the output links that the permanent on-air studio will need. If we look at this graph, the mixing desk back at studio So that's the permanent on-air mixer in the studio. So inputs that it will need. So it'll need the mixing desk at the OB to send the OB feed to the codec at the OB. The codec at the OB will send the feed to the studio's codec, which will then input into the mixing desk. Output links needed is we need an output link for the processor and the transmitter so that the listener can pick it up. We need an output feed to the telephone and the OB so that whoever is at the OB can speak to whoever is sitting in the studio. And we need an output for recording if we need to record the OB. Then if we look at number 2, in your own words, define and explain the difference between the following types of broadcast studios. Number 1, a permanent on-air studio. So a permanent on-air studio is the main radio station of that studio, okay? The one that is used on a day-to-day basis. Number 2, the remote studio. This is the one that is not in use at all times. If we take, for example, again, the SABC, let's say 5FM, they have a studio in both Durban and in Cape Town. So if necessity calls for it, if a presenter might be DJing or doing something for the station in another town or province, they can use the remote studio to broadcast from. And number C there is define an outside broadcast studio. So an outside broadcast studio is in essence the studio that's been taken to a different space. But this studio doesn't have to be this normal studio setup at all. It can be anything from a full setup, yes, in a van with all the equipment, so fully kitted out, to a simple setup with only a codec system, mixer, microphones, and speakers or monitors. It fully depends on what type of outside broadcast it is. And then if we look at number 3 here, imagine that you are the program manager of an urban youth radio station in Johannesburg, and your breakfast show wants to broadcast from Los Angeles for the Black Entertainment Television, so the BET Awards. Explain the technical support you would need in order to broadcast from another country, as well as the technical chain involved in making the broadcast a reality. Well, the first thing that we need to look at is whether the breakfast team purely wants to broadcast from Los Angeles, so from a studio that's already there, aka a remote studio, or whether they want to do an outside broadcast at the actual BET Awards. So for this exercise, we're going to think that they actually want to be at the BET Awards. So from a technical point of view, there are a number of questions that need to be answered first, which are all of these. Once we know all the answers to these, then the broadcast engineer or the technical producer can start creating an equipment checklist to make sure what everything needs to be at the BET Awards for this to take place. So then there's a lot of planning that goes into this OB, and the setup of the OB will happen in advance to the actual broadcast going live. This means that you won't be flying the whole team over, but you'll be using a local team there along with your presenters, and the broadcast engineer or the technical producer would have put together here on the right-hand side the equipment checklist of everything that will be needed. And here you won't necessarily use microphones and CDJs and a PA system here, as this is already a huge event. You might just want to be streaming it live. So you might just want to be there and explain the whole vibe to South Africa instead of making noise at the event and playing music at the event, because they'll have their own music. Okay, so there's a lot of these kind of things that need to be taken into consideration. So you won't have everything here, but you'll have most of that. You will have a log sheet, you will have live reads, you will have table and chairs, and you will have some branding there as well. And then if we page to page 285, we look at the questions there. So the idea is you should be able to answer every single activity's questions with everything that we've done throughout a module or chapter. So here, number 1, what is DAB? DAB stands for Digital Audio Broadcasting. B, satellite distribution. Satellite technology receives an audio signal in waves from the ground, and a satellite in space that orbits the Earth translates the signal into digital data packets. This digital data packet is then sent back to Earth, where satellite decoders can translate the signal into audio, and that is satellite distribution. What is topography? Topography describes the physical features of an area of land. These features typically include natural formations such as the mountains, rivers, lakes, and valleys. Man-made features such as roads, dams, and cities may also be included. The next one is FM. So FM stands for frequency modulation. FM signal on the whole is much clearer and less affected by atmospheric conditions than the AM frequency would be, as the waves travel in straight lines. This means that they will travel until the curvature of the Earth prevents them from traveling further beyond the horizon. So they can't travel very far, but they're extremely clear and crisp. And they are sound waves. Next one there, digital dividend. So by going digital, space is freed up by using digital packets for data instead of radio waves. This is called the digital dividend, as using digital packets of data frees up the space on the frequency spectrum. So it's a dividend. Internet speed refers to the speed which data or content travels from the web to your computer or phone. And then the last one is ISP, which is Internet Service Provider. And number 2 and number 3 there we will do together in our next live class. Which brings us to the next section, Radio DJ software. So Radio DJ is software to manage music, playlist automation, and live broadcast to your radio station. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chat you through a couple of just the screens, and then I'm going to show you a YouTube video, just pretty much how it works until we get into the class back at Boston Media House, and then we'll start playing around with it. What I do want you to do for me now is, before we carry on, please go to Radio DJ and start the download, okay? Please download this onto your computer and start playing around with it so that you have an idea of how it works before we get back into class. So this is what it looks like when you open it up, okay? You'll see here on the left-hand side is what is coming up, so what will be played. If you look at the bottom, it's the history there, so that's everything that has played. On the right-hand side is a playlist with a lot of songs in them where you can drag it in if you want to, and just choose some more music from it. And there at the bottom, you can queue stuff up to listen to it, and you can eject it if you don't want it. So there's quite a lot you can do with this, and you'll see it's quite user-friendly. Then there's a page for track rotations, so you can choose here what which track you want from what category. You'll see there at the top it says rotation content, and then it says track from category, track from requests, or playlist events. So this one specifically is set up to track from category. And here it's set up to music, 2000s, any genre, least recently played. So this one is the track edit. So here you can edit all the details. So when you get a new song, when you playlist it, you'll go here and so you'll put in the URL, you'll say what category it is, whether it's gold rotation or whatever it might be. You'll put in a subcategory, a genre, a track type. So you don't have to fill in everything, but this is pretty much what you'll do. So if you wanted it to only play 100 times and then nothing, you would put that in there. But here we'd always put in 0. As we don't have a stop date for a track. You'd see there at the top, there's the settings, then there's the details of the actual song, then there's sweepers if you want sweepers with the song, comments and art album. And then here's an example of their new rotation playlist. So you can also make your playlists on there if you want specific playlists or a specific playlist to play a certain day. So you can build a playlist for a day as well if you want to. Then on the right-hand side, then you have your playlist builder, where you can build a playlist, or if you want to add songs to it or remove songs from it. Again, at the bottom, you can listen to it. You can listen to the start and the intro. Ooh, the start, the intro, and the end. Fast forward, play, stop. Okay, and you can skip if you want to go to the next page to see what song's on the next page, etc. So, because this will be song 1 to 1,000, and then next 1,000 to 2,000, etc. And then these are just the jingles that have been loaded on here. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously here you can have all your different jingles or sweepers and things loaded up. So you'll just insert them here. So you'll always listen to them off air before you simply play them. So you'll listen to, let's say, the first one here, jingle 2007, Radio DJ 01, to hear firstly how long it is, whether it will suit the song, whether it's going to work with it. Or if you want to play one at the end, same thing, you'll also listen to make sure that it suits the next one, okay? So quickly, what we're going to do now is I'm going to play you a YouTube video with regards to just how it works, because unfortunately, I sit with 2 MacBooks at home, and my MacBooks, neither one of them want to work with Radio DJ, so I can't download it on my own computer to show it to you. But these tutorials are great, and it will give you a good idea of how it works.
As you can see here, it's got a record button. I haven't played with that to see how it works yet. And it's got some other features that I'll show you in a few minutes. The first thing I want to do is set up some categories. As you can see, I don't have any music in my Radio DJ at this time. So I can go to Radio DJ, music, or I can do all categories. There's nothing in there. So I want to go here to this wrench. I want to click on categories. I do have some categories made up, but just to show you, here we'll make a category A. Okay, when you put your letters in, whatever you want to call your subcategories, you'll click the plus sign, and they're right there. So once I do the A, I now have a subcategory. All my genre, I keep it at top 40. It just makes it easier for me. So once I see my A in here, I'll click OK. And now it's time to import some music. I'm going to go to track import just once to show you how to do it with the track. So as you can see in here, there's nothing. I'm going to click on this little plus sign right here. It's going to take me to my tracks. My tracks are in my Dropbox folder. So I'm going to go to Dropbox. And I have a subcategory already named Hot. That's for hot mix, hot music today. Today's hot music. So whatever's popular right now. So I'm going to open that folder. And let's import some Ariana Grande side by side. Okay, so I found my file. I'm going to click on it, and it's ready to import. I've already got my ID 3 tags and all that set up, so I'm going to click yes. So you can see here what's being imported, side by side, Ariana Grande. Now, where do I want that to go? I want that to go, for this demonstration purposes, I want it to go to music, because all my music's in the music category. Then I want to put it in that A folder subcategory that I made earlier. So we're going to click on that. And now it's in there. It's ready to go. Your preference would be what you want it to do once it happens. Say you wanted this song to play 15 times, and then you might want to move it into another category that you have. And it'll do that for you automatically. My priority is always 50 for now. I'll change it later, but for now it's 50. So at this point, I want to click my import button. And you'll see nothing happen. It's just that fast. So I close this, and then I'll close this, and there's my song, Ariana Grande. So if I want to go to my, this is every category, so I'll put in my jingles, my promos, my sweepers, all the things that I'll put them in their own category. So this will be any category. But if I put this, if I click on sound effects, you're not going to see anything because that's not where Ariana Grande is. If I click on my music folder, my music category, and as you can see here, it's 80s, so it's not in there. I need to click on this and go to my A folder, and there it is. I can do two things now. I can double click on this and it'll move over here to number 1, or I can drag it over to number 1. Now that I already have it in there, it would be number 2. So I'm going to delete this one and I'm going to delete this one. So as you can see, I can double click. Now I can delete that, or I can drag it over to here. There it is. Now I can get this to play 2 different ways. I can click the number 1. As you can hear, it plays. And let me put it back over there. And the next way I can get it to play is just click the play button. So either way, you can get it to play. And once I get it to play, I want to run my station on automation. So now that I've showed you how to put in one song, let me show you how to put in a bunch of songs. I'll go back down to my wrench. I want to do a directory import right here. Now this is going to be all blank, so I'm going to find my directory that I want to import. It's still in my particular files are in my Dropbox. So I'm going to open my Dropbox. We'll pick new ads, okay? So I'm going to click new ads. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to click OK here. And it says that I'm going to be importing my new ads. Where do I want those to go? I'm going to put them in my hot rotation. Okay, there's my hot rotation. Once I import directory here, you can see here that they're all going in here and here. They're all going in to my playlist. So let's close all this. I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to clear this playlist. Okay, earlier I put this one song in this folder, and now if I'm in my music folder and my subcategory is A, if I go to 80s, all those songs that I just put in are supposed to be in there, but as you can see, they're not. So what I need to do is go to my tracks manager in the bottom left-hand corner. There they are, and they're all here, but we need to find out why they didn't automatically categorize into my 80s folder. And it could be for a couple things. Maybe I put them into a different folder. So if I put all categories here, if I right click on one of these, it will tell me, if I edit track, it'll tell me where they are. Oh, it's in my hot. Okay. So I put it in my hot folder and not my 80s folder. So let's close out of track manager. Okay, so now let's go back to here. If I'm in my music category and I go to my quadruple A thing that I put in, there's the one song I imported earlier. Now, if I go to my hot rotation, all those songs will be into here now. If I click manual, they're all going to load in to this playlist here. And there's my song. So once again, I can double click on one. It'll go in there and load in, or I can manually slide it over to there and it will play. So there's my songs. So let's say that I want to, at this time, build a track rotation. So I'm going to go back over here to my wrench, my options. I'm going to click track rotation. And in my track rotation, I want to make sure that it's blank. Okay, clear this out with blank. I want to add a track from category. All right, I want that category to be in my music category. I want it to be my A. I don't want to sweep on it because I don't have any in there. Let's click OK. That's going to add. I want to add another category. Same thing. Add that from here. And I want to make this one from my hot rotation. And that's that. Okay, so there we go with that. Now I can highlight this one and click this little thing here, and it repeats that track. I could do this one, but I only have one song in there. It'll repeat it, but it won't play it because I have my repeat rules are on. So I want to highlight this and put a few more hot songs in here. We'll put 2 more. Okay, so oops, it automatically goes to what's highlighted. So let's take that one out. Let's take that out. And let's highlight hot, and I add that. Now it goes back to the top, so I need to highlight hot again and add that. I'm going to call this rotation. I can save it. I can save rotation as, let's call it 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll click OK. Rotation was saved. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. I'm going to clear my playlist out. And I have no songs in here, but right here, I can click on my 9 to 2. I can find that rotation that we just did. It should be in here as 1, 2, 3. I don't see that. Tab down. There it is. I tab down and there's 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3 rotation is ready to go. I'm going to click manual and this is what it does. So it's not going to load that Ariana Grande song that I played earlier because it's on a rotation. I put it in here as a rotation. So I played a few minutes of it, so it's not going to load it now because it's already played. It's mine, it's already played it. So let's see if it's going to be, yeah. I can put it back in there manually, but right here, you can see where it's played twice because I clicked it twice to play. Okay, so all these songs are in my hot category. All right. Now, if I wanted to rotate, mix this up, I can do two things. I can keep the highlighted DJ on, and I can click clear, and it's going to automatically load back in again, but they're going to be in a different order now. So I can play this. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, can start it. I can click number 1, or I can click here. Let's click number 1. All right, let's go all the way to the end. All the way to the end here, and let's see what happens. Okay, the song's going to fade out. And it moved right on to the next song in the playlist. Okay. That's pretty cool the way that works. All right, let's stop it. And now let's go back over here and take this off. And let's clear our playlist. And let's load in some songs. Let's go to music. It was already there. Let's go to hot. And let's just load on a couple songs just to see what happens. Okay, so if I'm playing this song and I am not doing a rotation, right? So let's play this song, start it. Let's go all the way to the end. And let's see if it plays the next song right now. It does play the next song. Now, if I hit this here, all right, and I go all the way to the end on this song, let's see what happens. Oh, it didn't play. So if I had some songs in this area that I was doing on a live show and I wanted to stop all the music and talk, it won't play. So now I can do 2 things or 3 things. I can click the 1 again when I'm through talking. I can click the play button, or I can click this assisted, and it will start playing the next song. Let me load in another one to show you. All right, so let's take this back off again. Okay, so right now it's assisted. It means I have to assist it to go to the next song. And this is going off now. You can see the 1 flashing right here to show me how much time I have left. And I could be doing whatever. 278 to mix. Here's some Aerosmith. Oh, wrong button. 278 to mix. Here's some Aerosmith. All right. Now, if I leave this on automated and I put me another song over here and I go to the end again, I don't want to play too much of a song because I don't want to do some copyright things that's going to get me in trouble. And it's going to automatically go into Beyonce again. So let me stop that. So basically you go in, the things I do first is I make my categories. Then I put my songs, I upload my songs. Once again, let's review real quick. I'll go in, I'll make categories. I'll go in, I'll put my category right here, and I'll click the plus sign. And I'll add it up in here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to go in here, I'm going to do my track import. I'm going to hit track import. Just might as well do 1 first to make sure it all works. Okay, I'm going to do 1. I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to find the track to import. Let's import something toward the bottom of this, maybe Lecrae. So I would just change this to rap, hot rap, new rap. And that's where it's going to go. I'll show you that. I'll click import. And there he goes. Now, when I did that, look at all these songs that turn red. All these songs that turn red, that means I played them already. So they're not going to play again. But let's look in here at music and hot rap and see if that Lecrae song came in. Okay, he's probably not in there because I need to make sure that the song is enabled. So let's go back over here to music. Okay, so that's what I do. I set up my categories first. I then import my songs. And once you import your songs, you can create your rotation, your track rotation here. Okay. Now, one thing you can do is if you right click on this song, you can go into edit track. I like to make sure I click on details and all my stuff's in here the way I like it. So all my tracks will be labeled the same and I don't have to worry about anything.
So that's pretty much what Radio DJ looks like, what it does. It's similar to what any other playout system would look like. And as you can see, it's quite easy to work, which is why I want you to please, again, download it and start playing with it at home when you have time, okay? And with that, we've come to the end of this lesson and the end of this section with regards to radio technology. So please make sure that you understand everything from every single angle. If there's anything that you're still unsure about, whether it's from the production system side or whether it's from the distribution technology side, whether it's any of the software or anything, just let me know and we'll talk through it in our live classes. With all of that under our belt now, the next class we'll be starting on content creation. So please start listening to radio stations, listen to morning radio, listen to different slots during the day, and listen to a lot of variety of stations, just to be informed before we start on that class. With that, I say goodbye until the next lesson.